You're up, Keanu.
Keanu means cool breeze.
Yeah, that's why I said that.
Round 1. Fight!
Mortal Kombat X is the second Mortal Kombat title to be released since the reboot of the series. It was developed by NetherRealm Studios and pretty much most of the original team who started it all. Speaking of the Mortal Kombat chronology, I want to begin by mentioning probably the least important thing in any fighting game, the story mode. Mortal Kombat X, for the majority of the game, takes place about 25 years after the destruction of Shao Kahn. I can say that we technically have 3 stories that merge into one. First off, we have a newly formed Special Forces team trying to get along. Then we have a struggle of power in Outworld. All of that, and Shinnok is attempting to poison Earthrealm's life force to garner godlike power. And what's also included in all that is each character's backstory that can take place any amount of years back. All of this may come as a bit confusing at first, but the dev team managed very well at that to write a narrative that turned out to be both intriguing and overall highly entertaining to experience. To compare, the story in MK9 seemed a bit far-fetched even for a Mortal Kombat game. Honestly, it was a decent story and it had some good themes, but the story was not as well crafted as it is in Mortal Kombat X. Not only is the story of MKX well crafted, but the aesthetics that bring this Mortal Kombat to the next generation are also crafted with the same integrity. The graphics for one have significantly improved since Mortal Kombat 9, and such visual improvements gift all the stages with stunning detail and realism, almost to the point of distraction. The backgrounds are just gorgeous and even rival that of the recent Super Smash Bros. Game. Continuously, the animation quality has also had an upgrade, making for very smooth and concise movements for both the players and background objects. There are a couple things to note though. Unlike in Injustice, stages in Mortal Kombat X do not have any destructibility or transitions whatsoever. It is my opinion that stage transitions were meant to balance the double health bars, so these not being in Mortal Kombat X is preferable. As for the stage destruction, I really wish it was in this game too. I mean, I understand the argument that the characters in Injustice aren't supposed to be killed or quote-unquote destroyed, and that was supposed to make up for Mortal Kombat's gore. You know, I would have really enjoyed to see the stage destruction as it would look awesome and would show off some great particle effects as well. The overall visual presentation is updated to fit with the next generation. The gameplay in Mortal Kombat X is also updated just as well to make the game recognizable and still very unique. Starting with the new gameplay updates and features, we have the Crypt. It hasn't changed its concept, but how it is traversed has completely been rebuilt. This time, the Crypt plays like an indie-style horror game, with a few jump scares too. Surprisingly atmospheric and with just an awesome appearance, the new Crypt is very much welcome. Next up is a new mode called Faction Wars. Pretty much, players in the MKX community choose a faction they like and must complete faction matches, challenges, and finishers to earn points and receive small rewards. Faction Wars is even influenced by the Mortal Kombat X mobile app as well. It's a neat little social experiment, but it doesn't add or take away too much from the game. Next up are the updates to the classic arcade towers. In addition to the traditional towers, MKX also features what is called Living Towers and Tower Challenge. Tower Challenge is simply a mode that lets players challenge their friends in completing a tower. For Living Towers, these have certain modifiers that diversify the gameplay, and these change on an hourly, daily, and weekly basis. I really enjoy this addition because for me, I mostly just play the Towers mode, and this really ramps up the replayability. Moving more into online, Mortal Kombat X doesn't have much more to note other than it having one addition and one subtraction. Team battles are added and tag team is taken away. I mentioned faction matches earlier, and these also go into the team battles as well. For this mode, players join a team either within matchmaking or their own faction, and they fight at the same time on separate screens. When players win, they earn a point for their team, and whichever team ends up with the most points wins. It's interesting, but it's nothing really big, and plus I didn't really care for tag team anyway, so no complaints there. There is one unfortunate thing though, it takes quite a while to find a match sometimes. I mean, I'm playing on the Xbox One, so maybe it's the console I'm on, but it's still happening. Now we have the actual fighting gameplay to cover. It's obvious that Mortal Kombat X has many of the same conventions that MK9 had. Chaining specials, enhanced specials, and X-rays are all still present, and let me tell you, being able to land any special with a combo is very satisfying, and it feels like it's more polished too. Not to mention, the X-rays are even more brutal than ever. The overall gameplay in Mortal Kombat X is very well balanced, and that can be proven by the fact that it is a game being used in esports right now. I mean, I'd think they'd know a bit about balanced fighting, right? Also, I strongly feel that NetherRealm Studios have always known not only how to balance characters well, but make each one feel so very unique. Speaking of characters, Mortal Kombat X features new characters along with the old ones that have also been changed up a bit. Now here's a new thing. Each fighter has 3 different fighting styles and not at all like real ones. Each fighting style is very unique while still keeping the same overall feel for each fighter. There is one bit, however, that bothered me a lot, and it's not a character that's playable, but you'll see. It was when I was fighting Shinnok in traditional towers. More specifically, the fact that when it comes time to fight his boss form, you only have one single round to either win or lose. Not only that, but when you lose, there is an approximate 50% chance of him performing a fatality that cannot be skipped. I really don't understand this design choice at all, as each other character is 2 rounds. They could have just done it like Mortal Kombat 2 did, have the player verse regular Shinnok, and then he could like charge up his demon form while the player fights Goro, and then after Goro, the player would fight corrupted Shinnok for 2 rounds. A major nitpick, I know, but for one who plays towers so much, it's a big irritation. Other than that kind of small issue, the gameplay of Mortal Kombat X is smooth, rewarding, and overall fun to discover new crazy combo chains. The same goes for what is going to end this review, the finishers. Mortal Kombat X currently features a grotesque 214 ways to kill your opponent. Each fighter can perform 2 unique fatalities, 6 brutalities, and 5 faction kills. Fatalities are really no different than they've always been, other than them being ever so gut-wrenchingly disgusting. Every last one of them. There is even a point in the story mode where you can perform one in a QuickTime event. I really wish it could be done more during the story mode, but you can't just go killing off random characters in it. Brutalities make a comeback in Mortal Kombat Trilogy and actually function in a similar way. Instead of performing a huge combo, players need to follow a certain set of criteria and must finalize a combo with a special move. They may not be as gruesome as fatalities, but they certainly are fast and just outright cold killing moves. Lastly, we have faction kills. These finishers take from the theme of the faction the player belongs to and are very simple to input. Unfortunately, MKX does not feature stage fatalities, which is pretty upsetting seeing as many of the stages look really promising for them. Mortal Kombat X has plenty of finishing moves that will continue the series' legacy of raining blood. Mortal Kombat X is a very strong sequel for a fighting game in the next generation. Some features are added, some are taken away, but such is necessary for any variety. MKX is a very well balanced and visually pleasing game with a surprisingly well thought out story. Mortal Kombat X earns a 4 out of 5 eggs. You can't make a good Mortal Kombat game without breaking a few spines and skulls.